Hour. We continue the conversation now with the Democratic Congressman Subramanyam, who represents a district in the state of Virginia and joins us live from Capitol Hill. Is there anything on your end, Congressman, about this conversation that we're learning about in bits and pieces between President Trump and Vladimir Putin today that stands out?
Yeah, this is a president that said he would end the war between Ukraine and Russia in 24 hours. And now he's realizing that unless you put pressure on Russia, which he's not willing to do, you're not going to end this war. That's really what's going to happen. And you're going to continue to have this war happen. And you're not going to have a peace deal if you don't put pressure on Russia. And so I'm very pessimistic about this administration's ability to mediate these types of deals and end these types of wars.
You don't think sanctions are coming anytime soon?
It doesn't look like it. I mean, I'd like to see them, but I'd like to see more action. But right now, this president keeps chickening out when it comes to foreign policy and when it comes to especially Vladimir Putin.
Can I talk to you about this China story that we mentioned at the top a little bit? I know I saw last week, I think it was, or recently you were outspoken about what they call agro-tourism. I know that ag business is important in your district in Virginia. This story we have today about China is about the possibility of agro-terrorism. These two Chinese nationals who've been brought in, charged with allegedly smuggling this fungus into the United States. Does anything stand out to you about that? I mean, how worried do you think we should be about someone using something like that in the wrong way, particularly the Chinese?
Absolutely. We should be very worried. That's why, Customs and Border Patrol, TSA, USDA, they all work together to try to make sure that agro-terrorism doesn't happen. And I represent Dulles Airport, and one of the things that we're concerned about is funding cuts to the TSA and other organizations that make sure that our border is secure. The border is not just Mexico and the United States. It's also our airports. It's also our ports. And so bringing in these types of substances is really serious and could do far more damage to our country. So we absolutely need to make sure we don't cut funding like this administration is trying to do to these types of programs, and we protect our borders and our airports.
Got to give them credit, though. Here they caught them, right? But your concern is that more could slip through if there's not enough resources.
Oh, absolutely. I'm so glad they caught them. I really appreciate our law enforcement and all the agencies that work together to do that. But I am concerned about this long term. I talked to one person who does crop security and crop disease at the USDA. She actually was given the deferred resignation option and may be leaving. And so I'm concerned that we're losing really good people when it comes to protecting our agriculture in America.
Have you been subject to briefings that would lead you to believe this is a bigger problem or a bigger threat than people realize, in particular with regard to China?
I have, yes.
Right. I know you don't go in, especially if they're classified briefings, into details. I understand that. But can you speak in general terms about what the public should know about a threat like that? Because, some people, we don't think about everything. We see it in the news for a day and say, oh, man, I never thought of that. But what should we be thinking about?
Yeah, I think this is bipartisan. I think we need to be working together to make sure that we have security in place to protect our food system and our crops. And so this is something that affects everyone. It's not just rural communities. It's also, this is our food supply, right? This is where we get really important crops. So we have to continue to be vigilant, and we have to continue to put resources into this program.
All these things. Are we ready for this? Are we ready? Now we start thinking about a drone strike after what we saw Ukraine carry out. We're going to talk about that later in the hour. Are we ready for any of these new threats? Can I talk to you a little bit about the big, beautiful bill? I know for the Democrats, it's almost sit back and watch what the Republicans are doing to some degree. Maybe you think Elon Musk is doing your bidding for you. Any impression on that? Because the one thing I would point out came out today from the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, and I don't know how much of an endorsement it is. It still says it's going to add to the deficits by a lot, but not by as much as they previously thought. And the Republican argument has been all along, hey, listen, we cut taxes, we're going to grow our way out of this. Economic growth is going to make up the difference. So now you say you're going to add $2.4 trillion to the deficit. Previously it was way over 3, close to 4. There you see $3.7 trillion. So what would you say about that in terms of the impact of this bill if it passes?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a fiscal conservative, you should hate this bill. That's still a lot of money. That's trillions of dollars in debt that we're putting our country in. And what is it for? It's to give the very richest corporations a tax cut. We've seen that this doesn't trickle down to the American people. This doesn't pay off our debt or deficit because we've had these policies passed before in 2017. We're renewing them. And last time, they didn't pay down our debt or deficit. And so I think that's why you're seeing Elon Musk and other people push back on this bill. We're even seeing some people who voted for the bill, have concerns about what they voted for. It sounds like some people didn't read the bill completely. So I'd see, as the Senate looks at this, I think they should be listening to the American people and on people on both sides of the aisle who have concerns about this.
Do you guys always have time to read these bills? In fairness, like regular members, ranking members, regular members in the House, or does sometimes leadership pushes them through so fast you got to vote and you don't have a chance to read 1,000 pages? I mean, it's not like you're an AI bot. You got to read it, right? Did they give them enough of a chance? I mean, do they give you enough of a chance sometimes with these things?
This one was a hard one, right? Because they really rushed this. They made final changes
that's my point.
within hours. But, we went through every section and we wanted to make sure we knew what was in the bill before we voted it to. I mean, I was probably going to vote no regardless, but it's still important to know what's in these bills. And I think at the very least, you can have a sense of what's in the bill. I mean, some of the things that people missed were entire sections of bills that really shouldn't have been missed.
Speaking of AI, that was one of the things that was missed, we heard. So we're going to talk about that later in the show as well. All right, final thing. Let me squeeze one in on tariffs. Because Democrats sometimes over the years would be supportive of what people call targeted tariffs. Like if you look at an industry like steel, for example, you say, all right, we got to protect this industry, protectionism. So President Trump's doubled these tariffs on steel and aluminum. Is this, in your book, the same as some of the other tariffs? Is it different? Can some of these tariffs be effective? I mean, what would you say about something like this?
I think these tariffs are different, but they're still bad. I talked to home builders, for instance. We have a housing shortage in Northern Virginia especially, and they can't predict the future, so they're not sure how much housing is going to cost. They're not sure if they should even invest in building housing at this point, right? No matter what policies we put for affordable and workforce housing, they don't know what the price is going to be, so they don't know if they can commit. That's where we are right now, is the predictability for the markets, for small businesses and big businesses is out the window with this administration. And that means that they can't do business. And that's hurting our economy right now all across the board. And so this is just another example. This is going to raise the cost of housing and so many other things. And so I don't agree with them. And even though it is a little different, it's more targeted, it's still something where we don't know if it's going to be 10% next month because he supposedly made a deal. And now I heard that he's going to be talking to China soon. And who knows what's going to come of that. So there's just a lot of uncertainty, and that's hurting everyone.
We're supposed to talk this week. We haven't heard anything yet on that. How long would it take you, Congressman, to read 1,000 pages? Do you know? No?
Well, if you're going to read every word, it might take a couple hours or so, but some good light bedtime reading.
Yeah, right. Thanks for coming on. We'll talk to you again next time. Congressman Subramanyam, who represents